I must say, it's not like patting my own back, but then the Waste Management Corporation has been spearheading in setting up most of the common facilities in the state of Goa. So the first thing is, this is our first plant, which came just about 1 kilometer away from here. Today evening we'll be going there for a visit. So this was the picture of that particular picture of that particular plant of ours. This is the integrated waste management facility. Yes, next. Okay. Now this is the basics. I give due regard, and I know most of you all who are here are all experienced people in your own states, in your own way. But nevertheless, as we know, responsibility of waste management, now rules have come up, earlier 2000 rules, now 2016, and now today we are in 23. But as you know, responsibility for collection treatment is with the local bodies, whether panchayat, municipality or corporations. Issue is whether all the panchayats or municipalities or corporations are technically sound and scientifically equipped to handle the waste. When I say waste, not only municipal waste, all 5 types of waste. Now management does not mean that we collect and transport, which was the earlier thing which we used to do, and then dump somewhere. This is not the thing available now, and as per the rules, you cannot do any dumping, nor you can do any burning of it. And as you all know, NGT way back, I think 5 years back, has passed an order. 25,000 is the fine for anybody found burning, especially for municipal bodies, and for private it is, I think, 5,000 if I am not mistaken. Next. Okay. Now, Goa scenario. I would like to give you the scenario of Goa, what went into the making of various facilities. That is the mandate which the NGT has given us to showcase. But as I showcase our things and give us the challenges, give you all the challenges that we had faced in setting up various facilities, in the later part of the day or next 2 days, we would want you also to share your good practices which you all have done in your states, respective states or your respective agencies, so that we all get enriched with sharing each other's experience. Okay, the Goa government understood this issue of waste management way back in 1996, and there was an act. We had our own local act, which was Goa Non-Burial Control Act, which spoke about the way waste has to be managed. Okay, and this has been timely updated or amended. It has also got a provision, penal provision. All these PPTs will be sharing with you, plus we will be giving you whatever you require. So don't take the trouble of writing too much. We will be sharing everything with you. Okay. Then, as I said, various fines are there for littering, for burning. There are a lot of issues. And for commercial, there is a different fine. Plus, imprisonment is also there for the third offence. Now, don't ask me how many people we have fined and how many people we have. It is a bit tricky this, but certain municipalities have been also fined. Some hospitals also have been fined in the last few years. Then, see how this thing came about in Goa. Maybe there is a better option somewhere else, but I am just sharing you our experience. Initially in 2011, though we had an act in 1996, 2011 government constituted a monitoring working committee on waste management. It was headed by the Minister of Environment at that time, and there was a committee of various peoples. And then it went on. Then in 2012, when Sir Manohar Parrikar's government came, he set up a high-level task force. See, this matter was also pending in the court. And you all know 1996 Amrita Patel matter was there much before this. But in the Goa High Court also this matter was there, so he set up a high-level task force. He himself was the chairman of this, and the various linked departments, various stakeholders departments were part of this high-level task force, and I was then the member secretary of Pollution Control Board, Goa, so I was the member secretary. So we deliberated, we did initial all things required for waste management like highway collection, road collection, all those things we started. Waste collected from schools. We thought that schools are the better option because children are sensitized. We gave them a 4-way collection beans and took one teacher from each school, and through that the entire school was sensitized on this. And we put up a mechanism to collect this waste from all the schools and all the panchayats, especially dry waste. So that was set up. Then Department of Science and Technology I was also director at that time of Department of Science and Technology. So that business rules were amended, and we renamed it as Department of Science, Technology and Waste Management. The idea was that technology has to be brought in to solve this issue of waste management. Because simply blaming the panchayats and blaming the local bodies, this was not getting solved. It will drag for a long time. Then Goa State Infrastructure Development Corporation was the executing agency for the setting of a plant. Then construction of solid waste management cell was created. That monitoring committee was then converted to a solid waste management cell under Department of Science and Technology, dedicated only for common waste management facilities to be set up in the state of Goa. Then thereafter, there was an expert committee constituted under Padma Shri Dr. Sharad Kale. He is here with us today. He will be talking to you. And members from IIT Mumbai, NIRI and BITS Pilani Goa, with of course local officials also. And thereafter, in 2017, this particular cell was converted into a Goa Waste Management Corporation. This is a government corporation and a special purpose vehicle only for setting up of common waste management facilities plus guiding the local panchayat municipalities. And Department of Science and Technology, as I said, became Department of Science and Technology and Waste Management. Now, as I said, Goa Waste Management Corporation was a special purpose vehicle and was entrusted to set up all sort of waste. By that time, 2016 rules came, and there were basically, as you all know, 5 types of waste which has to be set up in every state. Whether you have municipal waste or your biomedical waste, hazardous waste, e-waste, and C&D waste. Now, GWMC also guides the local bodies, whether panchayats, municipalities. We are a small state and a small panchayats, small municipal corporation council, and one municipal corporation, which is of capital city of Panaji. GWMC is the first SPV in the state of in this state and in the country as of now. I think now Kerala somewhere they are also trying to put up, but I don't know whether it's a corporation or body incorporated. Now, specific function of the corporation to frame policies, establish, develop common facilities, manage common facilities, develop facilities relating to dissemination of information, trainings also we conduct all over Goa. As I said, we are a small state, so our situation will be different from most of your states, which are bigger states. Encourage development of research also we do in Science and Technology Department. We encourage people to do research in waste management. We have schemes where this research is encouraged from Goa University, other institutions, and hold conferences like this also we organize. In fact, this is one of the mandate with the High Court. In Goa, there was a court matter in Goa High Court 2007. Unfortunately, it still continues till date with various orders. So this is a continuing, ongoing process. Now, specific function of the corporation. Okay, this is okay. So as you know, Goa is a small state with 12 talukas. Okay, 2 districts, north and south. Right now we are in the north district of Goa. 3,722 or 702 square kilometers is one. We are about 16 lakhs, maybe now 18 lakhs, and we are getting floating population of 80 lakhs or sometime more than that. So that is one issue because we are a touristic state. Coastline of 105 kilometers. On the east side, Western Ghats. West side is our vast Arabian Sea. I'm sure you will get some time during these 3 days to have a look at our coast. In fact, on the last day we have officially. Okay, so these are some statistics. The waste generated in the state of Goa. We had a survey. So 766 is the daily waste generated in the state of Goa. Okay, normally as per CPHEO, it is about 256 grams per person. But Goa being slightly developed, our waste is a little more, around 460, 465 grams. So commercial, these are the some details. Okay, so again waste generated population wise north south, we'll share it with you. And again that last column is important, domestic hazardous waste. As you know, we also need to have a provision for this domestic hazardous waste. Your pampers, your used medicines, all these sort of things has to be collected separately. and treat it thereafter. Then most of all the bodies take under door-to-door collection from respective households. We are small, as I said, small wards in panchayats. There are 7 wards, 5 wards, 9 wards, 11 wards, and municipalities up to 25 wards, slightly bigger. So they bring their waste to the MRFs, and then from the MRF there's a mechanism. We have a contractor to collect from that, and dry waste we take it to the baling station, or some of the municipalities they bale themselves, and this is taken to cement factories. Now cement factories we don't have in Goa for incineration. We take it to nearest state in Karnataka. Okay. We also have a mechanism of collection, as I said, of waste from schools and village panchayats. Now municipalities we also collect earlier. Now they are self-sufficient. They build themselves, and we are going to we incinerate it for them. Now there are just a quick look of what we have set up. The first one is just 1 kilometer or half kilometer from here is the integrated 250 tons per day facility of Saligaon. This has been a subject of much talk all over the country. Many people have visited it. Dignitaries, even foreign dignitaries and delegates have come. I'll go in detail as to what went into the making of that plant. Then a similar plant, almost a replica of that, and a smaller version, 100 tons per day, is at Kapara on the south Goa district. Then common biomedical waste facility is also there at Kunda industrial state. So land is a big issue in the state of Goa, being a small state and touristic state. So we had to push this to the industrial states. Okay, and common hazardous waste is at Pisula industrial state. E-waste facility is also being set up at the industrial state. Proposed waste to energy. Our baled waste, which we are sending to cement factories, is a huge cost to us. It has to be transported. So to Karnataka, the furthest is about 500 kilometers from here. Nearest is about 250 kilometers from Goa. So about four cement factories we transport. So waste to energy will come up, and we are at the stage of getting EC. Once EC comes, the tender will be floated. And then CND waste is being set up at in the North Goa at Kuchori and Bichori. And third plant, municipal solid waste plant at Bangiri, we are at the RFP level now. That will be set up. The issue is these plants, when you set up, it has to be fed with waste. At least minimum 50% or 60% has to be there, otherwise it becomes a difficult situation. So gradually this had to be built up, and the North Goa plant from 100 we expanded to 250 tons per day subsequently. Okay. Now we also did remediation of various legacy waste dumps. This, as you know, all over the country this was an issue, but Goa being a small state, land was an issue, as I said. So we went for all brownfield projects. The plant which you are going to see in the evening was a big dump. Dump means compared to other dumps in the country, it may be a very small dump. But that entire thing was remediated, biomined, remediated, various fractions we disposed of, and that plant has come up. Similarly, the South Goa plant has also come up on a dump. So policy is to clear these dumps and reclaim land and set up the waste management plants. That's the best and easiest thing to be done. Then we have also installed a biodigester, about 18,000 units in the state of Goa. That was the requirement for ODF to be declared for Goa, so we did that. Collection of transportation dry waste we are doing. So from education institutions and panchayats, around 17,264 we have collected. This quantity seems to be small, but it is voluminous, as you know, and it's a very tedious process to collect. Highways and major district roads we are collecting waste. This is what we have, maybe some of you all have noticed the roads to be clean, but we will clean it and next day again waste get dumped there. Of course this cannot be a policy of any government, that you go on dumping and we go on cleaning, but nevertheless we have to put that effort so that physically people are there. You must have seen on the road they are picking up. Then transportation of baled waste of municipalities and panchayat, we take care of that. We fund them because it's a huge cost. And IEC activities. Now this was the scenario, this was a dump where the plant, the first plant, which is just about 1 kilometer from here, and this is the plant which came up initially. This is just a Saligaon plant. Now the capacity of this is 250 tons per day as of now. From 100 it was increased to 250. May 16 this plant was inaugurated. Then December 21 it was expanded to 250 tons per day plus 20%. So maximum we can handle up to 300 tons per day. Then average waste received last 6 months is 245. So now we have to think now what we do next. See, it is nearing to this capacity also. Average electricity produced is 6 months. I don't know of any other. There are many plants which are producing. Biomethanation is the most tedious part in waste management, and to maintain consistency, this plant, I'll come up to that how we managed to kind of maintain the consistency in management of this plant and working of this plant for the last 7 years. So 28,000 units per day. Inert filling, and the concession we had given them 10% that they can put inert out of the waste received. But I am happy to tell you that the last many years we have achieved less than 3%, which means the life of our engineered landfill sites will be there, will be increased for a long time. Then average compost generation is 8 tons per day. Total electricity generated since 2016, that is from the 100-ton plant till the 200-ton plant is what is mentioned here. Then average electricity exported to the grid. See, this is one of the first plant to export power to the grid. About 50% we utilize in-house and 50% is exported to the grid. The details are there, we will be showing you when you visit the plant. Then this is the South Goa plant, 100 tons. Just last May it started. Then area is 78,000 square meter there. Area is a very critical aspect in planning your plant. You require more energy. Sometimes something goes wrong. RDF is one issue. If you have a cement factory next to your plant, fine. Or if you have some way of managing that RDF, maybe waste to something products and all, fine. But otherwise, you require a lot of space, which we realize later on. That's a one constraint. Now this plant caters to 4 polygons other than the South Goa. Power generation is 800 kilowatts, that is 0.8 megawatts. Average waste treated is 35 to 40 as of now. We hope by January, February this waste will increase to at least 80. The North Goa plant also we started with 10, 15, 20. So collection mechanism we took a lot of time. And now you all know, all of you all know, you cannot get mixed waste. It has to be segregated, dry and wet waste. So that was a very challenging thing. Okay, common biomineral waste facilities. By the way, most of our concessionaires are also here. So as you get time during your tea or lunch, please I'll give the list of those people who are here, who have set this up. You can have a discussion in case you need to or you want to. They are all here. So this is set up at one of the industrial estate, and this was set up in a record time of 12 months. It was COVID time that time, so we had to push this. So this was a common facility. So Goa being a small state, 3, 4 to 5 tons per day we are as of now treating. But capacity is up to 28 tons per day, and the concession is there for 15 years. This is all truly on a Pakka PPP mode, where money is charged to the facility and they recover their fund. Other plants, municipal solid plants, so far we are not charging any TPM fees for the municipalities in our panchayat or local bodies in the state of Goa. There are some of the pictures of our Kundai facility. You will be also visiting it. Yeah, next. There are some of the other pictures there. Next. Okay, this is our common hazardous waste treatment facility at Pisul Lane. You all know way back in 2005 there was a Supreme Court order that this facility has to be set up. Otherwise, all waste generation, hazardous generation facility has to be shut down. The matter is still dragging, and then most of the other states had done, we had not done, so we had to set up. We had about 300 units producing hazardous waste. But as you know, even a small workshop having cotton waste, oil is also hazardous, so you require to facility dispose it of. We will be also visiting here. Next. Okay, Another thing, in fact, NGT also passed an order that what we started in the remediation has to be seen by other states, and also way back in I think 2012-13 order was passed. So we had, in fact, as I said, both the plants have come up on the dump, earlier so-called dumps, and besides that, there were 11 other identified dumps in the state. Now our dumps may be smaller dumps. One one of the biggest dump was at Margaon Municipal Council. It was called Sonsodo. If you talk about dump in Goa, entire people talk about the Sonsodo dump. Mr. Asnani was part of the. He was involved in that for a long time during the earlier days. So that has now been totally remediated. Okay, only now some RDF remains to be sent from there. Because we don't have cement factory in the state, there is some constraint. Because now, earlier Goa was in this part of the country, Goa was sending a lot of RDF. But now other states are also, they are collecting, their system has increased. So we have to stand in the queue, so it takes time for us to send our RDF. Okay. So as you said, 4,53,000 was the total cubic capacity. That's what has been done. But by the time, although this plant has come up, the South Goa was in the process of coming up, some of the municipalities again created some dumps. So it takes time. Okay, it's very easy to talk, but then for whatever reasons, now that also we are in the process of remediating. So by law you cannot have dumps, but these are there, some of your states you must have also seen. So 11 we have created, we have resolved, now another 4 has come up, so we are in the process. Yeah, next. So this is that Sansoda thing, the left hand side. And now it is cleared. The blue thing is the RDF which remains there. Next. Okay, so these are the various states as Asagaon, Vicholi. So the basically various fractions of, as you know, are compost, your your inert, and your RDF. This has to be disposed of. We have used inert to backfill. In Margaon we created almost one hockey ground with that, then parking spaces. In this, I must say that wherever you get an opportunity, please raise one issue which I suggest. The standards for compost has to be different for this remediated compost. It cannot be same for this. We should push it with the Central Pollution Control Board so that there are different standards for dumps. Not that we have to create dumps now more, but those earlier down there are a lot of sort of mixed waste, other issues are there. And other thing, before I forget, I'll request you all to raise this issue wherever possible. The calorific value as discussed, as stated in the waste management rules is 1500, which is as good as some of our Goa normal mixed garbage also it is giving 1500. So nobody will go to segregate. So this has to be possibly raised to at least minimum 3000 kilojoules per kg. That it has to be there minimum. 1500 is just normal, which is just like any other garbage. So these are the two things, if you possible, wherever it is. So this is your Asagaon thing. This is after that. Next. Now highway and major district road collection. This we realize, being a touristic state, people just throw here and there. Now as I said, this cannot be a normal standard where we go on dumping and people cleaning. But because of this peculiar situation of around 18 lakhs population of Goa and around 80 or more lakhs of tourists, and now I'm not saying, I'm not blaming only the tourists, maybe indigenous people also, they throw here and there. So that litter has to be picked up. So we even have our contractor who collects the waste from highways and major district roads. You can interact with them, ask them the difficulties. Any details we'll be more than willing to give you. So we divided various zones, and then we have the contractor appointed, and the frequencies are also determined. Whether some stretches on a daily basis, some on bi-weekly, and some on weekly basis. Now the High Court intervened and they said no, minimum 3 days. Every 3 days you have to collect. So we are changing the frequency based on that. Next. So this waste comes. So this is how it is collected. See, some has become very black spots. I am sure in some of your states also it must be there. And within no time it gets created. So now we are working, hoping against hope that this will improve with whatever efforts we put up. And this is how you must have seen today also. People collect and then it is taken away. Next. Next, Sujit. Okay, so this is how there are some of the pictures. Next, and I am proud of these people. They have mostly they are women. They have worked during COVID time in such a way. COVID time, you all know, waste just increased. All packaged foods, your whatever you order online, there are some good Samaritans who give food to the people who are stranded. Food is left there, so we had a big task, and these people worked almost non-stop during entire COVID time. And in fact, we got time to clear a lot of waste during that time also, because there was no vehicular traffic and all that. So these are some of the sort of transfer stations we have set up to collect this waste, and from there it collects. On the right hand, my right hand side is a model transfer station which are yet to be set up. We have put up one. We are going to put up all over also, because this system of dumping waste and collecting waste cannot go on for too long. These will be manned transfer stations, where one of the person who is collecting waste from the highways or from the panchayat area or from the municipal area, person will be there from certain time, maybe 7 to 9 morning, and then in the evening time, he will accept waste into 4-way segregations. And then because people have a habit of going by a car or a motorbike and just throwing wherever they want, so that becomes a problem now, because now they know that we are collecting from the highways or district road. So these are I have taken. My boys are getting very much irritated, but I said let us take it in a positive manner, that at least people are getting waste from the house and keeping on it. So now let us create some system and work in a backward to collect this waste. So it is a question of creating habit in people. So that this is the model thing we have done. We have sought some Government of India funding for that. Let us see. If not, we will still go away in a phased manner, setting up this. Next. So this is our collection mechanism from schools and higher secondary schools, where they collect and keep it in one place, and from there it is regularly collected. Okay, so there's an app there where they call for a pickup. So the route is made and then it is collected from there. Next. So this is the entire basic this how the system goes through, how routing is done. Because it is not that it is just in time sort of activity that you order and somebody will come and collect. No, so we wait for that sufficient quantity and then it is collected. So we do secondary collection. Primary collection is done by the panchayat or municipalities inside, and secondary collection we do. Next. Yeah, again the same thing. Next. Okay, now total dry waste collected and treated by Goa Waste Management Corporation, village panchayats. These are the things what we are, the numbers. I'll share it with you. Highway collection. It is quite voluminous because light in density. Okay, and total refuse derived fuel we have disposed is about 2,14,197 tons to all cement factories. Next. For a small state like us, it is a big number, but for bigger state like you, it may not mean much in number, but nevertheless, it's important. Now, approach in setting up what we did. I said utilization of existing dump sites for construction of supplement facilities. Because even again here, people would oppose, because people had experience of dumps, not plants. So it was new to them. So we had to, in fact, for the North Goa plant, the matter went to the NGT. Local people took us to the National Tribunal, and there were almost over 1 year, around 35 court hearings. Luckily, there was no stay on the construction of the plant, and after 35 court hearings, which means our officials from Pollution Board, us, almost 3 months or 2.5 months we had to spend in the principal bench, New Delhi. But then, and it is on the design, finance, build, operate and transfer basis. Only thing what we have given them is land, approach road, water and power at a battery point. Next, technology is to deal with the worst case scenario. All the rules were there in 2016, whereby which segregation was must. But as you know, we are a touristic state, so mixed waste was one issue. So it was designed also to cater to the mixed waste. We had a Orex press there. How it was, we'll explain it once you take it to the, you are taken to the plant. So screens are there, manual sorting, exclusion, biomethylation, universal composting. In this, the biomethylation is the most critical part. You can ask some questions to our Dr. Sharat Kale sir. He is here. He is a Padma Shri awardee and chairman of our expert committee. There is an expert committee also. What went into the making and what went into the successful running of the plants. You can also ask him. Then plant operations and supervisory control SCADA system next. Next. So challenges faced during setting up of solid waste facility at Salem. It was the first facility, and by that time there was no much examples in the country set out. So there was a committee which went into the selection of technology. We visited various countries also along, and then because the Indian scenario and Goan waste characterization had to be studied. You couldn't just get some technology and make it work here. So almost a year went into that in 2012 to 2013. Okay. So our panchayats were small, but 3,000, 4,000 population panchayats. Then there was no successful operation precedent in the country. No support from financial institution. No banker would finance a waste management facility. There was one critical issue, and I will tell you how we went about it. Then municipal 2000 rules had no provision of segregation to that extent. Then high tourist floating population in Goa, one of the issue, and opposition from locals. I don't know what is the scenario in your states, but the locals oppose. Everybody says everything has to be clean. People say that it has to look like Singapore, but then nobody is willing to give land. And no, I don't know the scenario there, but we had this issue. So opposition from locals led a facility, not in my backyard syndrome was there. Next. Then this place was a big dump, which is the one photograph I have shown you. So within 45 days, we recovered this land, putting multi-touch screen, many multi-touch screen, and we got that land. As I said, by that time people went to the court. So now in this, this was the critical decision taken was that the bidder's 25% stake has to be there in this plant. Otherwise, he would maybe possibly run away or not take that interest. So once his money is stuck, then that was the system, and he performs and he pays. So that was the system put up there. Concession was for 10 years. Comfort letter was given by us to the financial institutions. So as I said, no bankers were ready to finance. They would say, okay, what do we do? If it fails, what do we do? What will the banker do with this plant? So we gave the comfort letter, and Bank of Baroda and Axis Bank funded it as a consortium. So 25% was the debt. Okay, at that time it was 13% debt interest rate of interest. It's very high in 2013. Now designed the facility for mixed waste because we knew although the rules say so, we are not, we wouldn't be in a position to get 100% or of course 100% I have never seen wherever I visited in all over the world also. Not every country, but I have seen many countries. It is 70, 80, 90 like that. But that has, we knew that mixed waste would come. So this was ready to treat mixed waste. So 25% buffer provision was kept. Suppose the plant was 100 tons per day, but we ensured that the concessionaire would run it for whatever promised to him for 100 tons to 125 tons. So that 25% is the extra buffer we kept so that at no cost he would treat it. Next. Now it was a cluster based approach. See, there are proponents of waste management to have decentralized. And every panchayat, every municipality should have, but it's not happening. So from there we have gone to cluster based approach, which means common facilities. Now expert committee was made under Padma Shri Dr. Sharat Kale. There were experts from NIRI, IIT Mumbai, BITS Pilani, who vetted the technology and the process. Now the land record was declared as an industrial state. It was very important because it was every land in Goa, as you know, in your states, whether it is part of the panchayat or the municipality, and they would have their objection. They would not allow you. Say not here, you have to go somewhere else. So we got it declared as an industrial area. And so the Industrial Development Corporation in Goa could give us permission. Of course, they have their own process, not that we apply and will give. We kept a provision in the agreement for refinancing because we knew that sometime later 13% is a very high cost of debt. So if things come down, then we could refinance the entire thing, restructure the model. because it is what the concessional price is the same amount what we paying over a period of 10 years. As simple as that. So the land was recovered as against capping. We didn't go for any capping. There were proponents for capping also, because we knew that if you do capping, we lose that land forever, and then you have to maintain it for 30 years and so many other issues. Cost of capping is also there. So better thing was to recover the land and put up our plants there. Then success story of Saligaon plant. The facility generated employment for there were about 150 lakh pickers there for this dam. So we took most of them. Now I think around 80-90 people are still working. You'll meet them once you go there. So they were provided, the system was to provide them meals, EPF, insurance, travel, periodic medical check, all that is being done. Then the other issue was to get fresh people was the issue, because you require people with that competency to work and core competency to work in waste management. So they were more readily and ready to work with them. So refinance project. So this our first project was 75% was debt at a rate of 13%, and okay. So then during COVID time the rate of interest went down, so we restructured it. We restructured and paid upfront the capital cost to them, and the owner's equity is there of 25%, for which we paid 17%. We did bid it that time. Those days no bidder would or no concessioner would bid for anything less than that, so that rate of return is there to them, higher rate of return. So that is still there. Now it has stated 4 lakh metric tons, and this is the electricity generated so far from 100 tons till now also. The facility is the hub of industrial visit. Many people visit it from the country as well as from outside. In fact, we got a delegation from Norway of about 15 parliamentarians. They also have business interest here, so they visited Sweden. They visited most of the ambassadors. They have visited here just to understand how this is functioning. It is more because not only the plant, that how it has functioned for the last 7 years. So they wanted to know. So they have been there. Then National Grid Tribunal judges have also come. Even now the principal Sir Goan also has been here earlier. NGT Judge Kingankar also has come. Next. Now this is the aerial view. This is the night view of the plant. Next. So material segregation recovery takes place at dry waste and wet waste. There are separate processing lines as of now. And as you know now, the rules say so. It has to be separated. In the event there is some mixture of it, we have to still grapple with that issue. We transfer it there, and then we take it to the wet waste. Then biomethanation, sludge dewatering system, compost line, biogas, genset power plant, sanitary. In case you have any issues in this, please do ask when you visit there. So they'll be more than happy to explain it to you. Next. Now this is the this is basically the wet line. You can see the left is the dry line and this is the wet line. Odor control is one major issue. We have succeeded to a bit, but still we want to improve on it. If you all have some better things, please share it with us during the course of the day. Okay, so this is like a double door system, shuttering system, and then the down portion is the biofilter. Next. So this is still manual system, but I feel another few years from now, Goa would be ready. If Dr. Sharad Kade agrees, sir, I think Goa should be ready in the next couple of years to go for optical sensor-based segregation. See, you require minimum 70. We have with us Dr. Anil Kakodkar with us, who has been our mentor. Welcome, sir. No, please. So, as I said, Goa should be ready another few years, that we could opt for sensor-based separation of or segregation of waste. For that, you require high level of segregation because waste comes in bags. So, we should be able. We'll try for that next. So, the first one. This was the first biodigester. The down is second. That is 60 tons per day, and then 120 tons per day capacity biodigester. Next. Now this is our drying, the compost drying shed. We call it solar shed. So special roofing is made to concentrate heat so that the drying system enhances. You will see it when you visit there next. So model establishment of Saligaon, as I said, it was on 25%, 75%, 25% was the owner's equity, 75% was this was the 25-75 equity debt ratio. Land, approach, road, all has to be provided by the government. After the battery point, electricity power has to be put up. And first 100 tons per day capacity plant was awarded to with 145.95 crore. So out of this, 25% was the owner's equity and 75% the state funded for a period of 10 years. Now gross annual support was also 70 crores. By the way, I think 7-8 months I visited along with Dr. Kale at Indore. So that is not, those days is not a very happy story there of the biomediation. Hope it has improved there. It's a very challenging aspect of managing biodigesters. As I said, Dr. Kale will explain. So wherever it is there, wherever you have difficulties, he'll be more than happy to explain to you. Then monitoring committee. So another success story is every month there's a committee set up which meets and goes into the deliverables of this plant. So we go through it, the segregation part, generation of electricity, generation of power, generation of gas, all that. And then that is one thing I think makes a difference in having the plant running continuously for last 7 years. Of course, there is also an expert committee under Dr. Sharad Kade who keeps on coming here after 3 months on an average. And again we go into the details because it's a very, the moment you let loose certain things, it's very difficult to come back to the original situation, especially in the biodigression. Is what I have experienced, and which Indore is also experiencing as of now. I don't know whether they have improved upon. Next. So land, identification of land was on the dumping that nobody would give us land, which is a where you can have a greenfield project. So we got the land, we from the dump, cleared the dump and set up our plant. Now, we declared it as an industrial state, as I said, because the local panchayats may have their own issues. They would not give permissions or they will delay permissions. So these issues were there, so that's why we got declared as industrial state. The IDC gave us permission. Now, solid waste management facilities operation support grant is compulsory. I don't know, there are many of you here who have their own view maybe, but simply considering waste as well is the issue I think in this country. This is creating problems because people take management of waste at a very cheaper price and then they leave it halfway because it is very difficult to manage. So that is one issue. Then tipping fee model works mostly in biomedical waste and hazardous waste. In the small state of Goa, government thought of not levying any tipping fees to the local bodies and municipalities. So that the state government takes care. As you know, in any case, the state government has to devolve their finance to the finance commission to the various states. So that is the arrangement which is there. Next. The model of establishment at Kafara, same again, same model 25-75%, old legacy dump, we cleared it, make it as a ground and then it is set up there. So 75% of payment is released after running bills are cleared, out of which 25% in owner's equity we minus and then the rest of 75% is paid. Additional additional payment of OPEX on the treatment of waste. So there is a gross annual operation support system which is predefined. So that also goes to the operator. And wherever this is missing, we have seen most of the plants as an issue. If you discuss indoor model, this is a different model. But again, that has got its own issues. Now, new solid waste management facility will follow similar model with 25% bidders equity and 25% funding from government. But please understand, we managed to set up these facilities with cheap finance from NABARD at 2.75%. Now it is increased, I think, to around 4% interest. So under RIDF, Rural Infrastructure Development Fund, these units have been set up. In fact, NABARD will also come here and explain to you how we manage, how they supported us in this venture. Next. Next. Okay. Model restaurant biomedical facility, biomedical waste facility. This is, as you know, there are own rules, I mean separate rules for biomedical facilities. Within the diameter of 150 kilometers, you cannot have more than one facility. So Goa, although we are having a diameter of less than 150, being a state we could have one facility. This is come up. So this is a common facility. It is more into the economics part of it, so that it sustains. So bidder has to. We have given them land in the industrial state, of course. 100% financed by the bidder. The design is vetted by GWC committee consisting of experts and consultants. The bidder collects fees from the hospital clinics. I think right now around 1,400 facilities are registered with them, or maybe more than that now. And only land, approach road, power, water supply is provided by us. So land identified as an industrial development. Okay, from Goa GITC land we have taken. Next. Now these are some of the visits. The first visitor was our ex-environment minister, unfortunately who passed away immediately, Dave sir. Then the NGT judges also came here. Former environment minister, some of the pictures we have. Okay, then delegate from Poland also came recently. Next. Now sewage scenario in Goa. So we have a treatment, as you know, this 606 matter before NGT was concerning both waste management and sewage. So luckily we got out of it by presenting our case to them. So existing installed capacities, treatment capacities under construction, they are still there. Treatment capacity under planning stage is also there. So 18 STPs total. But conventionally in the state of Goa we have septic tanks. We don't have any common ETPs so far in any of the industrial, but efforts are on to put it in place. Biodigesal toilets, as I said, 18,000 we provided. But by and large, every house, whether rich, poor, has got a proper system in place. Wherever it was not there, common facilities we have put up because of the touristic nature of the state. The tourist places, other places. Next. So one of the picture of the Panaji, you will be visiting this facility. This was one of the first facility in the country in 2012, Parsekar, if I am not mistaken. Yeah. So that CTEC technology was established here, and after this success, I think in the country more than 800 such STPs are set up. So you can have a look there. In 2012 it was set up. Next. These are some of the other pictures of whatever facilities are there. Next. So any questions I will be more than willing to answer to the best of my ability. This is just a general overview of the waste management scenario in some of the things we have picked up. But Goa being a relatively smaller state, we are possibly in a better position to reach out and do things in a different way. Bigger states may have their own challenges. So any questions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Martin. In fact, there are three aspects: collection, transportation, and treatment.
Yeah.
So, which is the best model doing collection, transportation with one, and processing with one? I mean, should we go all three with one concessionaire, or collection, transportation with the help of a separate man, and processing with a separate man? Which model is better?
See, very good question. By now you must have been already having some system of collection by some person in the local body. That concession will be there, contract will be there.
I'm talking about cluster-based model.
Correct.
So we are doing it, of course, but when you talk about cluster-based method, then you have to entrust these activities to some agency or some concessionaire. So doing all three with one concessionaire is better, or doing separately is a better model? What's your finding?
See, our finding is we had to take it as it existed. Ideal solution could be captive to the plant. Suppose we have 50 local bodies. Then they collect themselves also and bring it up. Now we have an ideal solution. It doesn't happen because the concessionaire is more confined to the running of the plant day-to-day activities. He needs waste to the plant in the manner required for the plant, which is dry waste, wet waste, as per the rules also. It's not that somebody has an option. But here Goa, what has happened is there are small states. There are 27 panchayats around this plant where we are sitting. So there were existing contractors who would collect waste house to house. At that time it was not 100% from the market area. Some colonies they would collect. So we allowed them. We trained them. They said you don't mix waste. You collect waste separately. You can collect dry waste even once in a week. If the people can keep dry waste separately, you don't bring it, because the moment you collect both together, there was an issue. They would get mixed up. So we trained those contractors who are there with the panchayat. There were some panchayats which are engaging their own laborers in getting it. So we continued with that, but that is okay because we are a smaller state. Ideally, there should be I think a separate collection mechanism contractor and a separate this. If it is a small state like Indore is doing almost both. There is a separate dry waste collection mechanism, and Indore is one of the best. Nepra is nothing that which we have seen. Dry waste is excellent because people are segregating almost near to 100% segregation. So in that scenario, or you have to achieve that scenario, one agency has to be there to collect that and take it to the plant. Best is to leave the plant concessionaire to run the plant themselves, because there are a lot of issues which come on the plant every day. But if it is a captive thing, and if you can manage 100% segregation, near 100% segregation, or 80-90%, then you can have that system where the concessionaire of the plant itself can collect it. Initially, we thought of doing this here. We also had collection vehicles built up for that, but there were issues. So we allowed, there are other issues. There are people there are stakeholders, there are contractors who are already there in the business of collecting waste from the panchayat and taking it here. Then we allowed them to bring it here. But ideally, I feel two separate things is better, unless you can be sure of having high level of segregation. And then there is no much headache for the plant concessionaire to manage that waste.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And one small thing, in fact, you mentioned you are not charging any user charges from MCs and individuals also.
Yeah.
So you are funding the whole